Welcome back to the Quantum Connection podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Vanessa Bolden, with my amazing host, Heather Crimson. And we have a really fun episode to talk with you today. We want to talk all about travel tips for the summer and how to be healthy while you're traveling, which is really fun and exciting. So I'm really excited to share this episode with you guys today. Remember to tune in on YouTube at Bright Light Wellness and An Enlightened Mood as well. And also, if you feel so inclined, we would greatly appreciate your ratings, reviews, written reviews, really help the podcast grow. So if you are so inclined, we greatly appreciate that. And just thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about travel tips to support health because I travel a lot.
Yes, you
we
do.
Being that we have an RV, it's really fun for us, and we really enjoy doing that as a family together. And it's really exciting to explore all new places and things like that. But I do think that if you're on a healing journey, travel can actually maybe be a little stressful
Oh man.
because you're out of your comfort zone, right? And you're like, oh, I don't have my environmental things. I don't have my typical things that I usually do. And or I have to go to places that are going to be new and I don't know, what I'm going to have and all these things, right? So all these things can come up. So you might feel stressful. So we want to help prepare you for success so your travel is more enjoyable, stress-free, because I definitely understand the fear of things that can arise when things are out of your control and you're trying to heal. So, yeah.
That's one of the things we want to emphasize today is there's a balance, right? There's a balance between
Yes.
how much effort and mental angst and emotional energy you're expending on worrying about your health while traveling that will actually be more damaging than whatever it is that that isn't the way you want it to be. I used to honestly just worry mostly about food, right? Because I didn't know all the quantum and circadian biology. So it's like, oh great, now there's more to worry about. No, I'm just kidding. But but it is like a healthy balance. Like we want to share with you guys the things that we do that we find the most beneficial,
Mhm.
and at the same time emphasize that it is really about being able to lean into the joy and pleasure of traveling. That's the whole point, and that you're not basically taking away from that healing impact of what feels good to do out of your normal day to day, and you're having an adventure and it's all this mystery and intrigue and fun, and you're having a lot of beautiful connection hopefully with loved ones if you're not solo traveling, right? And so we want to find a way to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves and bring with us certain maybe strategies and tools, but not overdo it, right? So
Right. We don't want the trip to be stressful. We want the trip to be enjoyable, to be fun, a time where you can let go, maybe expand out of your comfort zone, be a little bit more flexible, a little less rigid, like all those things, have a little more fun, have a little more play. Maybe you do things that you don't normally do, but then you're like the whole point of, getting healthier is building resilience, right? So you're healthier and stronger, so when you come up against things that are a little bit different than your normal routine, you can still be okay and even maybe possibly still thrive, right? So yeah, that's the whole point. But there are definitely things that you can do to help you feel more comfortable and be more prepared. So you're just maybe a little bit, maybe will help with the stress level, right? So some of the things that I do, I'll share because I travel a lot. So the first thing is be prepared and research the area, know the area, where you're going to be going. And then of course Heather mentioned food because we always think about food, right? Like when you're traveling, where are you going to get your food from, right? So are there healthy restaurants around that you can go to, or are there health food stores or farmers markets that you can visit? That's always so fun to visit the farmers markets. I love that when that works out, that I go to travel to a place and there's good farmers markets around. I always search for that. As we travel with an RV, so I'm able to, depends on if you have a hotel or if you're, on a condo or wherever you are. I'm in an RV, I can stock my fridge, right? So if I find a local farmer's market, I'm like, woohoo, and then I can get all the stuff that I want to get there too. And I will say, I always like to go out to eat when we travel too. I try to find at least one really great restaurant that would be really great for the whole family. That's does a decent job. And I've been using the Seed Oil Scout app. Have you used that yet, Heather?
I don't think I've downloaded it on my phone. I think I checked, isn't it online as well?
Possibly. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I just
I
have the
looked
app.
at it somewhere, but I think it was a couple years ago and there wasn't that much on there. I bet that there's more on there now. More.
Yeah, there is. There is. So like right now, we just came back from Virginia Beach area and I found honestly an amazing restaurant, local, seasonal, organic, and no seed oils. I was like, oh man, perfect. And we just honestly, my husband said it was the best food he's had, like that he can remember. And the kids were all raving about it. And it was all fresh seafood there too. So we really enjoyed ourselves. Honestly, it was the best halibut I think I've ever had, but I found it from that app. So having something simple like that can really help you because you're gonna if they're not using seed oils, right? They're probably more higher quality restaurant. They're using higher quality ingredients, all the things like they're on point, right? So you can find great places like that. I mean, honestly, the food was amazing. So
What's the name of this place? Gosh.
it was called Coastal Grill in Virginia Beach. If you ever go to Virginia Beach,
Right.
you need to go to Coastal Grill.
I'm gonna
And I always look for another tip is I look for restaurants with outdoor seating because I prefer to eat outside. So that's another tip. Like, so I do, they did have that. I do look for that as well. So now we're going to Niagara Falls in a few weeks. So I'm like already scouting restaurants. My parents are coming, so I was sending some to my mom. I'm like, what do you think of this place? And I found one that's also local, seasonal, and organic. I don't know if they had outside seating, but anyway, the point is that if you plan ahead, you can be like, oh, and then it's something so exciting to look forward to, like, oh, I'm get to go and go out to eat and at a special place and enjoy it, especially if you're somebody who's on a healing journey who's kind of been avoiding, restaurant food for a while, then this is really something exciting and it's a lot of pleasure just eating and enjoying with the people you love, family at a special place. Like that's so healing, to the body. So
Sure.
yeah,
Well, and I'll be honest, I mean, I love going out to eat, but I don't do it that much because it's
the
hard to
quality.
find places that have really good quality food. And then even if they're higher end or middle, whatever, they still, a lot of them, they're going to use seed oil because most cuisine, they're using vegetable oil. They're not cooking all with all butter, or they're certainly not cooking with lard and tallow, right?
Yeah.
So I will make an exception here and there, but not that often, right? Because my gut just can't tolerate it. But I feel like it's more nourishing for me to have that company pleasure, the conviviality and whatnot, than it would be to constrict. And I mean, unless I was like really ill and be at home and miss out on so much of my life. So that's a beautiful thing that you're able to not only find the most amazing places, but go with your whole family, have a place to cook as well. Like you've got all the goodness, right? So for people who are flying, I mean, I remember flying once and literally taking a hot plate with me years ago. And then I just went and bought some beef or whatever I was eating and I ate that. So, but that's kind of more the minority of people will do that. But it's possible to do those things. I think I even brought like I don't remember what kind of pan, but I brought a pan obviously and and just the pan and the hot plate and then I was good to go. So I
Yeah.
bought some meat somewhere.
But
So ways to do it.
I think that's a great strategy. I've seen people do that, like sharing on reels and stuff like that on Instagram. They bring some food and they bring a hot plate, or they buy food and they bring a hot plate and they cook. They can cook some things at home, especially like you can do scrambled eggs really quickly or like a steak really quickly. So you can. I think that's a really great tip to do. But definitely research the area, find good restaurants and find health food stores and things like that. So you kind of know, like plan ahead if you can. Like I always prep food in advance. I do that because I'm traveling in an RV. So I have a fridge. So like if I know we're leaving at 5 a.m. in the morning, well, I'm gonna make some hard-boiled eggs and some sausage in advance so I can just grab that quick and eat it. And I'm still eating something healthy on the road. Same thing when we travel and it's dinner time, I'll cook something in advance, and have that. Not everybody has that if they're not traveling in an RV, but if you're traveling by car, you can do that. You can plan food in advance, have it in advance to bring with you. Um, I do carnivore crisps sometimes. That's an easy one. Hard-boiled eggs are easy. Cooked meat, like leftover meat, is easy. Fruit, if it's in season, like all those things are pretty simple to do. So it's nice to have that. Just, I think the planning and making yourself a priority with that, because otherwise you don't want to get to the point where you're like, say you're on the road, say if you're driving and you're starving and there's nothing around that you have to make an unfortunate choice then. So if you have some healthier options already packed with you, that's definitely the better choice. Now on a plane, I don't know what there is really in the airport area. to buy. And I know there's like rules about whether you can bring food on planes or not. Like I'm not so up to date on that because I don't travel by plane. I haven't traveled by plane in years. But if I had to choose something in an airport, I would go for like hard-boiled eggs if that's a possibility or something like that, that, probably be your best choice. But
You
I
have
haven't.
some of the vendor places. You can bring some food on the plane. I mean, now
Oh,
they have
that's good.
those silicone kind of storage things. I honestly just used to throw it in plastic. When I was in my
Mm.
kale days, which I never eat anymore, I would bring a bag of kale and a bag of meat or whatever, and that was it. And it was easy. So at the airports, which I mean, that's just like usually pretty awful. But if that's your only choice, then yes, a hamburger patty
Right. That's a good
or
one.
just some plain meat, and then they have the boiled eggs usually at where they're selling maybe the salad stuff and the fruit. So that's some stuff you could go for, and it's pretty easy to
Mhm.
do. If you're eating out or eating at a restaurant sit down place, you can order, hopefully you can order, what I've done a lot is poached eggs, because then they're not saturated in vegetable oil. They're just
Mm.
egg cooked in water. And then I would order either bacon or some, whatever, some kind of meat. And then with that, you're good to go. Now, if you need a little more fat, then it's a little tricky, because if you're not getting enough fat in your meat, you're going to have to figure out how to get that in butter or something else. So I
Mm.
sometimes bring butter with me, but there's ways to do it. And then again, I know we're going to talk about this later, but let's talk about it now, Vanessa. Fasting during traveling is actually a really good idea.
Yeah. I think it depends on your metabolic flexibility and where you're at. If you're really a big sugar burner, that might be really challenging. And I would definitely eat more the days coming to, say, the flight, if you're going to fast through your flight, because I do think it's a great strategy if you can handle it, especially if you're overnight. I would absolutely recommend fasting through the flight because you don't want to be eating overnight anyway. So if you're catching a night flight, definitely try fasting. And then I would also bring an eye mask to cover your eyes because all the lights in the plane, earplugs, to try to drown out the noise, those kinds of things on a flight. But the days before the flight, what I would say is I would recommend is eat a little bit less carbohydrates so it's easier for your body to burn fat for fuel, because then you'll be able to get into more of a ketogenic state easier. So then it won't be like you're needing the carbs as much. I think that would be helpful for people. But yeah, fasting is a great strategy if you're ready, if your body is willing and able and ready to do that thing. Because the last thing you want to do is be the type of person who's on a flight and feel nauseous, have vertigo, because your body can't burn the fat for fuel, because that would stink too. So I don't want somebody to just be like, oh, they said just fast during the flight and then they feel really sick because they're not used to being able to go without food.
If you
So
get
it's always,
like if you're a person who gets hangry and you can't go for more than 4 or 5 hours without eating, obviously
yeah,
this is not an option for you, because you got to
right.
work
You're not ready.
improving and enhancing your metabolic flexibility where your body can burn fat, like Vanessa says. Otherwise, it's going to make your travel miserable, and everyone else is going to not be happy around you either.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then when it comes to water, like I even bring my own, I bring my own water like basically everywhere I go. So if that's possible to bring your own water on your travels, I know they have things about flights with water too that can be tricky with flying, but
Well,
if
they
you're
say if it's
driving,
frozen, Vanessa, if it's frozen, they're much more likely to let you
mm,
through the checkpoints or whatever they are, TSA stuff. But if it's not, then you're most likely going to have to throw it out. Unless you're one of these like super assertive people who can argue for your rights that it's some sort of medical water. I'm not very good at that because I usually just get annoyed and I don't handle it so well because I find it all very annoying. So next time I'm going to go ahead and freeze my water. But also, and I know people think it's horrible plastic, but they've tested the Fiji water and it does not have any plastic residue in it. And it's actually really good, high quality water that has a lot of silica, which is really good for getting aluminum out of your body. So I've actually been drinking that, to be honest, from the Clearly account. He talks about that, Zebedee. So, and I like it works great. So now that takes off a layer of stress, because I'm like, if I travel, I'll just go buy some of that, because they carry it in all the airport stores.
well, that's perfect then. That's a great option for people, right? If I was traveling by plane, I would definitely take that from your advice, 100%. So since I said I travel by RV a lot, I just buy cases of Mountain Valley Spring and I bring that with me and I drink that. And I will say, like, if you are the kind of person who goes to like a lot of theme parks with their kids, they don't allow glass in. And I'm one of those people. So I've had this problem where I've brought the glass bottles and they don't allow glass because they don't want breaking. I understand the reason. So stainless steel, if that's not a possibility, if you can't do glass. So you can opt for that as well too if it's a place like that where they don't allow glass. That's a good option. So yeah, definitely those sounds like great ways to go. And I would always recommend, just choosing the best quality board that you can, because that's going to be helpful. Um, Another thing to do is, as a homeopath, I definitely bring my homeopathic remedies wherever I go. So I travel with them. So that's something to have on hand in case of something happens with my family, or if one of us gets sick, or there are so many different possibilities, right? So it's like just good to have. And if you're not sure like where to begin with that, you can get my free at-home homeopathic remedy guide kit. So you can learn like what are some good remedies to have on hand for acutes, and how can I use them in that situation so I don't have to go to, medical care while I'm on travel or all that. Cause that is, I'm going to share one little quick story. So years and years ago, this might be 2018, we were on a cruise and we all got like this like neurovirus or whatever. We got some sort of toxicity, whether it was a virus or some sort of toxicity. And I was not into holistic health then at that point. So basically we were like held in like cruise jail, and we were not allowed to literally leave our cabins because we had this virus, which lo and behold, many other people had on the ship as well. But then you don't have medical insurance there. So then they're charging you for all their, supposed medical that they're giving you as well. Because you're at sea, there's no insurance. It was horrible. My youngest was a baby at that point. He was still in diapers. I literally just threw clothes out. He was that sick. Like the was just disgusting. So if I would have had homeopathy, I would have known the remedy to give them and to give ourselves, and I would have been able to alleviate that whole situation, and we would have been feeling better a lot faster.
Okay,
And
so
we
what
wouldn't have
remedy would you have used?
Oh, arsenical amalgam over Ratrum for sure. 1,000,000%. Food poisoning is always those two remedies.
But
Um,
you guys, you can learn that in Vanessa's first aid course
yes.
on your website. Yes. So
You
you
can actually even learn that in the free homeopathic remedy guide kit. I give out a lot of free information very nicely. Or you can get the first aid course, and then you will have what to do for all kinds of situations. So whether it's a bite from an insect, or a bite from a snake, or a heart attack, or a stroke, or just a simple sting, or your kid falls down and has a concussion, like all these things like that, if I would have had arsenic amalgam and veratrum amalgam on that trip with me, I would have never needed to go to the medical professionals. I would have never been quarantined. My family would have never been quarantined and stuck in cruise jail. Like, it would have been a whole different scenario and ball game. My kid wouldn't have had diarrhea and been sick for a week. So that trip could have been all that issues on that trip could have been alleviated very quickly. So just get the free homeopathic remedy kit, guys, so you can know how to do that. And then if you want to learn more, get the first aid course so you can then have what you need when you need it. Because if you don't have the remedy that you need, I've had people reach out to me and be like, so and so is dealing with this. And I'm like, oh, I know the remedy like that, right? But if you don't have it at home, and you have to wait 3 days to get it because Whole Foods doesn't have it anymore, and it's not so easy to get these things, that's also a problem. So if you have these remedies with you to take with you and carry with you, that's also helpful. It's helpful to travel with them in a EMF free, like safe casing as well. I know Heather, and I both do that. So you can get them on like Etsy and stuff like that, where they like shield the remedies from EMFs, because remedies are sensitive to EMFs and to light. You can also wrap them up into like aluminum foil and things like that. That's also helpful to protect them. I just want to mention that so they don't get ruined on your travels as well. But yeah, have remedies with you because they can be really, really supportive. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So yeah, because they give you peace of mind. And then hopefully nothing will happen, but if it does, then you know what to do. You have the information and the tools, and you just need a small kit. It's not like you're carrying around, 100 remedies, right? You just need
No,
some
no,
sort.
I'd say there's a good like 10 to 15 that could be really supportive to take with you while you travel. That could be really great.
The
Yeah.
vials are small, and so you don't need to
Mhm.
take up a lot of space. So,
No, no,
um,
definitely not.
the other thing that like for me at least, is standard staple in on travel and otherwise at home is to have your blue blockers, right? So
100%.
you got to bring those blue blockers because, whether you're driving at night, which I never do anymore, I hate that, but you want to protect your eyes a little bit, and then, or you're on the plane and they got all the lights on the airports and all the things, right? So you do want to try to maintain and preserve your circadian rhythm and block artificial light at night, in the blue light, of course, so that you can sleep. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm traveling the first night, I usually don't sleep that well because it's not my normal habitat, right? I'm like, my body's like, where am I? And what are all these weird frequencies? And the air smells and I can't open the window. I mean, it's just like, it's hard. Like, I need fresh air. And so, there's sometimes a lot of noise. Even if I wear earplugs, I can still hear it. So you got to try to protect your sensory overload and prevent the sensory overload and the blue light and the non-native EMFs. So blue blockers, my code is, I use Viva Rays. These are Viva Rays. And I love these because they have just one that you can, like another set of lenses you can pop on. For the sunset, I use the orange ones, and the code is enlightenedmood.com. You go to vivarays.com and you buy those. You can get a $30 pair on Midwest Red Light Therapy too. You have a code for that as well, right, Vanessa?
Yes, my code there is Bright Light Wellness, and that's what I use. I love to travel with the Midwest Red Light Therapy ones because they're not that expensive and they work really well. And it's great. Like if I have them for my kids, I just honestly I have like a little basket and I just bring the basket with me and I throw them in the RV when we're traveling, and it's good for everybody. And like, you got to be flexible because things are not always going to go as planned. But then, like, having blue blockers with you, like when things don't go as planned, is very helpful. Like, I mean, I brought them with me anyway because we just away, like I said, in Virginia Beach, and we went to Busch Gardens, and I had brought my blue blockers with me because as the night gets light, darker, obviously, and there's going to be a lot of artificial light there, I would use them. But then there was a thunderstorm when we left, and we went up going to the movies,
Mm.
which is, I mean, that's a place where I'm definitely getting my blue blockers. And I'm so glad I had them with me, right? Because that's a lot of blue light. But at the same time, it's like also be flexible and enjoy the moment. I don't go to the movies very often. It's not something that I regularly do, but everything was fine, right? Just wear your blue blockers and move on and just enjoy that moment there with them.
You got to
So yeah,
plan,
definitely.
right? Have a good mindset and
Yeah.
not like emotionally react to all the things that you don't like that are happening, so that
Yes.
you can enjoy yourself and sleep. Because if you're getting stressed out about everything, you're gonna have too much cortisol when you go to bed, and it doesn't matter if you're wearing your blue blockers because you're so frustrated, right? So
Yes.
sleeping, and for nighttime activities, you got your blue blockers. Then I use a sleep mask, because sometimes even the hotels, even if I try to sort of fuss with the window dressings, there's so much light. Or they'll have all the little gizmos around. I try to turn the clock so that if it's not red, so that it's down like this so you can't see it. I'll move stuff around so that all those little green and blue lights are covered up. You can buy those stickers like I don't know if I have them right here, but I do. I'm going to show everyone. Oh yeah, they're right here. So you can use these kinds of stickers. You'll see that. And I forget what they're called, but you can get them on Amazon. They're really cheap. And they just cover up these little light dims. They're called light dims. Cover up
Mm.
all these little, because sometimes those lights are so bright and they will keep
Mhm.
your brain awake at night because it sees the little green or blue dot and it thinks it's daytime.
Yeah,
Some
you can also use electrical tape, like black electrical tape. That's
yeah,
what I did.
that's
That's
so
what I did in the RV. I just went because there's a couple like little lights like for like the plugins for the phone chargers, right? So I went and I just put some blackout tape on it and electrical tape, and it's gone now. It makes it really easy. But yeah, I do the same. I do the sleep mask, for sure. I do the earplugs. I always travel with those things. I love the sleep mask because it's just really you're protecting your eyes. That's the most important one you want to protect. And nice in the RV is they have good blackout shades. They actually really work really nicely. They just come in the RV
that's
and
great.
they work really, really great. So our room is really dark. I love that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely. I also say like if you need light, right? Because you can't be like in the dark completely all the time. Like having like a little like the Midwest red light therapy, like red light plugins, they're so easy to travel with. Like the ones that plug into the outlets, and they have like a little night light. I've traveled with those. I take a couple from the house and I throw them in the RV, but you could also throw them in a bag and take them to a hotel, and then you have like a plug-in nightlight if you need so in like the bathroom or wherever that you need light.
That's it
So
too. Yeah, I actually just use a red flashlight, but those
that
are
works too.
easier if you're too groggy and you can't figure out how to do the
Yeah.
flashlight.
Right, just like keep one in the bathroom, in the hotel that you're staying at, or that's what I do out in the RV. I just keep one in the bathroom. So if you get up, and I love this one. This is the block blue light one.
Nice.
So this is the little, I think you told me about this, didn't you? I think you did. This is so great. I love it. So it's great for like when traveling, like as a book light, obviously, but it also, like I keep it by my bed. Like
Yep.
if I need to get up in the middle of the night or something like that, I'll use it. So that's the company Block Blue Light. I have a discount code there too. It's also Bright Light Wellness. And
Those on Amazon too, if you buy from Amazon. HOGGO is the name of the company. I don't know how to pronounce it. They have those. So
mm,
you can either use a red flashlight, they sell red flashlights, or you can use one of those, and they're just so handy because they're small,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was so great too, Heather. We went to Tom and I went to a campground, the two of us, that you have no electric at night. You have to turn the generators off. They're not allowed because it's noisy, right? So you're not disrupting like the tent campers and whatnot. So this was perfect, like because it doesn't need a battery. So it was perfect to it's just, it doesn't need to be plugged in, excuse me. So it's a battery. So it was perfect to use. So it was great to have. So like we were reading like, say at like 9 o'clock, and I hung the light like above the top of something, like cooked onto something, and I just put it on and it was like, oh, this is a perfect amount of light. You know what I mean? Like for us. And it was great. So they're really good. They're so easy to fit into bags and stuff. So yeah, so simple.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
IMS earplugs you talked about. You can do clips for curtains, like chip clips can help, put curtains together, or like people sometimes do like Velcro or like things like that can work. Some people don't like earplugs, so
White
I
noise.
don't know, like white noise, thank you. I don't know if there's battery operated ones or not, but that could be
Okay.
helpful. I
Hmm.
don't know. Yeah. And then I do bring my earth runners, which I really am loving because I love to earth and ground, but sometimes like you want to protect your feet. So like the last beach we were at was like a lot of shells, a lot of rocks, and also like a lot of seaweed and like yucky stuff that you don't really want to be touching. So those were so great to have to get a lot of grounding in and be walking and not have to like be like tiptoeing around all the shells and all the gunk, you know what I mean? That's there. So it was like perfect to get the earthing in and still have that. And then also the other campground we went to, the same thing. There was like literally goose poop all over. And the last thing you want to do is be walking barefoot and step in goose poop, So like that was a perfect. Have the earth runners on, have your grounding shoes on. And they're like rubber, but they have this little copper metal part that helps your shoe ground. And I do have a discount code there too. I think it's Bright Light Wellness also. But it's linked in my product guide. So you can always just grab my free product guide to find that. But I do love them. I waited to buy them for years, like to have earthing shoes, and I was like, I don't need them. I could just be barefoot. But there are times when I'm like, this is kind of gross.
Yeah, I'm
Like
not the
stuff.
kind of person who likes to walk around barefoot on pavement or
Yeah.
anything like that because it's so nasty. But some people don't care, and I'm like, okay, that's not me. Just, but or on the beach, what's dangerous to you'll get cut or something. So, but
Yeah.
so this is the quantum aspect in the sense of you're aligning to frequencies, right? You're still wanting to stay connected to the Earth's resonance. You also want to be able to get that sunrise in, right? To where, like, say, you're only a couple hours of a different time zone, you still really need to get out there, even if it's earlier or later, whatever the case is, to help your body to readjust and reset its internal clock. So
Right.
getting up and getting at least a couple minutes of sunrise light, and then it's not always easy to do when you're traveling, but the UVA light, because sometimes you got to get going, right? But however you can pop your head out of whatever capsule you're in to get a little bit of UVA light is so important.
I totally agree. Yeah. And I always do it. As soon as I get to wherever we're traveling to, the first thing I usually do is go outside and earth, like just to realign. I'm like, okay, look, this is where I am, body. This is where I am in time and space right now. Now we're in Georgia. Now we're here. You know what I mean? So like my body knows. And I always align to the light and, see the sunrise, sunset, or wherever I am, or just get outside. Like that will help realign your body. And I find it so amazing because I travel so often, how quickly my body just adjusts to that time zone. And my body's like, gets up at the sunrise.
Wow.
which would be different. Like I just automatically wake up at the sunrise because sunrise is earlier in Virginia than it was in New York. And
Mm.
my body just got up earlier. It's like it just blows my mind, you know? And then when I came back to New York, my body was back to going a little bit, sleeping in a little bit later. I'm like, you're amazing, body. Like, thank you. That's so cool that you do that.
How powerful
Um,
light is. It really just is.
it is. It really is so powerful. And then like also like because you have more time and this is a vacation, you have more time to watch the amazing sunrises and sunsets that you can see. Like, I don't know, that's one of my favorite things about traveling is like finding the sunrise and sunset in the new places that we go and just seeing what it looks like because each one is different and unique and beautiful, and especially in a new spot. And this one, the sunsets, the place we were at just were just so amazing on the water. There was just nothing blocking it. And it was just I don't know. I just it's so magical. It's just to sit out there and watch it. And honestly, I love it so
Having
much. So,
a spiritual experience.
it's such a spiritual experience. I always talk about it, but it's just I love doing that. And I just yeah, it's fun for me. It's like, oh, what's it gonna look like today in this spot, you know?
That's what
It's
it's all about. I mean, that's what we've done for millennia. So we've become so disconnected from our natural environment, right? That we're not even able to really, well, there's many layers of disconnect, but we don't enjoy it as much. I mean, many people do. Like when I was living on the ocean, a lot of people
mm,
would go and they'd go earlier than sunset and they would set up their chairs and they'd have all these fun
yeah,
things like a blanket and they would
yeah,
bring food. I mean, I don't eat that late, but whatever.
yeah.
They would be really enjoying themselves and they would just sit there through the whole thing. It's like a show. Instead of going to the movies, like, I'm gonna go watch the sunset and the sunrise.
Oh
That's
yeah.
my
I would prefer that, but you know, it's all good.
why
It
not?
just made
Okay.
me think of something else too, really important when you're traveling by car. I mean, you can't do this by plane, but you can do it when you're traveling by car, is open the windows, crack the windows to let the light in, that natural light in, because again, that modern glass is blocking those important light frequencies, the red, the UV. So you want to let that light in. And also, like when I travel in the RV, it's literally a microwave. Let's be honest, that's true. Um, and there's not much I can do about that, but I can do my part. I keep my phone on airplane mode often throughout that. I check in here and there for things, but I keep it on airplane mode a lot. And then also keeping the window open actually helps let out the EMF frequencies as well. Because they're not, because when you're have everything closed in, it's kind of like a Faraday cage that you're inside of it with the EMF. So if you open the windows, you're letting it out. I mean, I know we have to talk about, I mean, you have to consider like the heat and the, you know, all that, but depending on what it is. But if you can crack the window open, I think that's actually a really great tip to do while traveling.
Mhm.
And I know this is a silly one, but I like to bring my own salt because forget it, I can't use salt anywhere else.
Yeah, I always have salt in my purse.
Do you? Oh, cool. You're cool like me. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring your own salt.
Regular salt makes me retain water. I don't know, it's really awful. And it just tastes like crap and it's bad for you. And it's just awful. Who knows what they add to it, the anti-caking, anti blah blah blah.
Yeah, no.
I
Mm-mm.
carry salt always, either Celtic salt or I still do use some of the Redmond salt. I know there's the Baja salt. I want to try Baja Gold.
Oh, I love Baja. I love that one. It's a good one. You'll like it. Yeah. Yeah, I like to do that when I go to restaurants. Like I try to remember to bring my own salt because I hate when I want salt because I like salt. I do like salt on my food. I'm so used to it. So I'm like, and I use a lot of like the more coarse, like chunky salts a lot of the times too. So I'm used to a salty taste and it just adds so much more flavor. And I hate when they don't have, I don't want to use the table salt. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go without. So it's like nice to, I love it. Put some salt in your pocketbook and you're good to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what's left here? Let's check our list.
I would say also like communicate your needs and your boundaries clearly, like, and tell the people that you're traveling with what you need to feel good, right? So if you're, because when you're traveling with other people, things are going to kind of be not your same schedule, then you might have to definitely want to be a little bit more flexible. You're going to have to let loose a little bit, you know, trust that resiliency that you've built, you know, and just try to be consistent, not perfection, right? But you also like let them know what you need. Like when my family knows this about me. I need to go walk for a half hour by myself sometimes throughout the day, right? Or I need to still go to bed early most nights. Not every night. Some nights I'll stay out and hang out with you guys, but majority of the nights I'm going to go to bed at my normal time. I'm still going to get up and watch the sunrise. That's important for me. Like there are certain things that I'm going to do. I'm still going to wear my blue blockers even though we're out at a place, and these are my needs, these are my boundaries that I've set to help me feel good,
Mhm.
right? So I think communicating that with the people that you are traveling with because they might not be doing the same things that you're doing. So just communicate that in advance in a healthy way. And you say, look, I wear these blue blockers because they help me feel better. They help me sleep better. Or I do this X, Y, and Z because it helps me,
Mhm.
whatever the reason is. I think that's really important. So,
Yeah, those are standards, and we have a right to have our standards and needs to nourish ourselves and have our needs the way that make us feel best. So, and it's in, you can work it out with people. If it somehow impinges upon their needs, then you can talk about it. But most of the time, what we're doing as far as the quantum practices, with the exception of wanting it dark, like if you're in the hotel room and you want it completely dark and your other people don't, that can be a problem. And
mhm.
there's nowhere to go. So that's when you put on your eye mask and your earplugs and hope for the best, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You do what you do. Control what you can control, what's in your control, and don't worry about what everybody else, right? But I think expressing to them what helps you, I think people will be respectful to that. If you set that boundary in advance, I do think people will be respectful of it. So like still continuing your practices and principles that support your health and well-being, but be flexible and just control what you can control in the moment. And that's it. You want to feel nourished, you want to still feel good, but there's going to be things that are going to there's going to be challenges it's just the way it is. There's going to be challenges, those things are going to come up, so you got to just kind of go with the flow too. So I would also say, like, if you have the opportunity to, because you're on vacation, actually rest.
Mm.
Like, yeah, slow down and rest. Like when you're on vacation, like I kind of joke, like this last vacation that we were on is like one of those vacations where you need a vacation afterwards because we're just doing so many things, like because we're entertaining the children. I have 3 kids. We're at the, theme parks and the water parks, and it's go, 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 and then at the movies and this and that. Like it's not kind of nonstop. But they kind of don't get up as early as me. So then I have that time where I'm by myself or with just me and my husband, where we can connect with nature and relax and actually rest. Or we left them in the RV and we went to the beach one day without them for a couple of hours. Like do those things when you can actually have like that restorative time, that rest time, and you just get to chill, because that's part of being on vacation is to like. And then I'll also say this, like, try, like, I know Heather can probably relate to this, like, and my husband too, because we both have our own businesses, right? Like, disconnect from the phone, keep it on airplane mode. Don't put it on. Try not to worry about that kind of stuff. Disconnect from your businesses and your social media and all that, and just kind of have time where you're just being in nature instead of always having to do. I think that's so underrated on a health journey. Like, it's really so underrated. It's so important, you know?
Body feels like there's always some sort of low level, low grade emergency when we're always hustling and always
Yes.
back and forth, movement, move. That's not really healthy for us. We have to have periods of rest as much as possible, especially in the evening, right? So if we're just doing the same thing every day, energy, go, go, go all day, every day, then we get worn out. And that's an indicator that maybe you should try to tone it down a little, which is hard on our minds because we want to do all the things, yes, and maximize our adventure while on vacation. But sometimes we have to just listen to our bodies, really listen. And if you're tired, maybe it's better to make adjustments and tone it down a little, dial it back.
Agreed. Yeah. Just disconnect actually for a little bit. Decompress, disconnect, relax, restore, recharge, do all that. That's really important. Um, and then like food ideas, we mentioned this already, like hard-boiled eggs, carnivore crisp is good, leftover meats, raw cheeses, raw kefir, fresh fruits, dried fruits, nuts, seeds, pork rinds, carnivore bars. These are all things that I like go to good for travel. And I will say, like, if you're someone like me who does like go to places where they don't like allow food inside, you can kind of sneak it in. You just have to be sneaky about it. I do that. Like I literally brought in like was I telling you I like brought in like ribeyes, like because we were in park, like we were gone all day, like, from 10 a.m. in the park till sometimes it was 10 p.m. Right? I need to eat food, so like I needed to have meat with me and like actual food that I can eat. So what I did was like, you kind of have to like wrap it between like a towel, like in a silicone, thing, and just leftover already cooked. Has to be cooked obviously already, but like wrap it in like in a towel where they're not going to see it, or like somewhere like that, like stuff it at the bottom. Like my one backpack that I always bring has like a zipper at the bottom. They're never going to open that one that's underneath. Like it's like for shoes. They never open that one. So
Oh, do you mean they actually search some of your back?
yeah, because they'll search your bags a lot of times when you're going into like parks like that. like water parks. And I honestly get flagged a lot because of
Such a
the stainless steel water bottles. So
Mhm.
they flag me for that, and then I have to like check my bag. So anyway, just put it in like like put it in like secret. I think I got caught like once out of all the times,
I
you know.
won't
And
tell anyone, Vanessa.
then I was like, oh no. Then I just brought the stuff back to my car, and I just put it in my car so then I could walk back and eat it later because I'm not eating food in the car. It's just there's just no healthy options there, you know, like not
Well,
that I'm being rigid, but there's nothing there, unfortunately, you
I don't
know.
know if I'd call it being rigid. It's just you don't want to eat poison, let's be honest.
Yes, I don't want to eat crap. So like what I put into my body really matters, you know? So anyway, so you can sneak food in, just do that. Like, you know, that's what I did and it works out really good. I do travel with the carnivore crisp. Those are easy to, that's already cooked. It's done. Like I said, hard-boiled eggs. There are things, you know. Um yeah, and then I would also say we always mention don't use Bluetooth. We always say that, you know, but wired headphones, like if you're on a plane, like you need to listen to something so you can be distracted out or just distracted from the people who are driving in the car. Sometimes I'll use my wired headphones and listen to a podcast or something like that that's downloaded already. And I would also say movement is really important. Like you want to be still incorporating movement into your day. Of course, you want to rest and be restorative, but you also want to have some movement. So it's like the best time to just do a lot of like walking because you can walk in nature and walk and do different hikes. And we love to do hikes and like waterfalls and things like that. I love to always find places like that. We didn't find any of this last one, but that is something I try to do. So just movement in nature better if possible. And I will say, like, I do love to work out. So like I use an app called Aptiv. It's AAPIV. Yeah. And it's a workout app that I use. And it just basically, you can download the workouts and you can do them and you can follow along and listen. So I use that when I travel a lot too. So like if I want to get a good, better workout in, like that's what I go to. And I love it. I've been using that for years. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Wow. This is pretty comprehensive, huh? Do we miss
Just a
anything?
I don't know. I added a book to read. Always bring a good book. I would say bring a good book to read because I love to sit on the beach and read a book or when we're sitting in the car to read a book. So that also disconnects you from technology if you're one of those people who do a lot of technology. So read a
My
book.
problem is I always want to bring like 5 books. It's not good.
I probably bring 10, Heather.
Maybe like, well, you have an RV, but this is just me and my backpack or my bag, right? And then I usually end up not barely looking at them if I'm more busy on the trip. And then I
Yeah, and that's okay.
found all these books.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can be heavy.
Yeah,
So,
I only bring one.
yeah, let's bring one that you really, really love. Yeah, I do. I probably pack about 10 in the RV usually, and then just like pick which one I want to read. And I just always like if we're going to a beach or something, or if we're going to be in the car, I just kind of for a while, I just tend to go that because, but there is also the just to, I don't know. I don't mind driving. I'm one of those people who likes driving and looking at scenery too, because there's just so much to see in the world too. So there's that too. So this was really fun. I like chatting this conversation. There's so many good things that you can do while traveling to keep your health really in a good spot.
Mhm. And again,
Yeah.
your emotional state is top of the list, I would say, because if you
Yeah.
do all the things, but you're in a stressed out mood or you're scared of whatever it is, it negates the positive impact of the other strategies that you're stressing out about. So you have to really be mindful and check in with your body about how much tension are you holding? How are you breathing, right? Are you able to get the movement you need so you're not just sitting there like this all the time, stiff and full of worry?
Hmm.
Because that's not a vacation. That's more like
No.
you're just doing, you're enduring, and we don't want that.
No, it should be enjoyable. It should be pleasurable. It should be fun. It should be loose. It should be all of those things. And it made me think of getting stiff. If you're driving for a long time, it is good to get out and stretch and walk and move a little bit and get the blood flowing again, because that has happened after being in the RV, you can move more. But when we used to travel by car, that was always really important to get out. And that's why I love having the dog. I'm like, okay, I gotta take the dog for a walk, guys. Like, go get some movement in because I need it. Like I'm one of those people who just I it's good for me. It's something that's
Forget
very
that your
helpful.
dog is going with you everywhere. That's so fantastic.
Oh my God, yeah. Teddy loves to travel with us. Yes, yes, yes. He's has so much fun. And he loves the window open and stick his whole head out. And then my youngest son Matthew gets worried that Teddy's gonna jump out of the area. Like he's not gonna jump out. He's gonna be fine. Because he'll like stick his two paws and his whole head out. You know, he's having a ball.
But
He
what do you do
loves
with somewhere where it's hot and you were going to the theme park and he's what inside of the RV? How does he not get overheated?
Well, they're, the RV is plugged into the electrical grid there and it says AC.
Well,
So
that's fantastic.
yeah, he needs to. But one time I will say this was a little scary. We went to Cedar Point and we had the RV, the generator, or that was plugged. I don't know. We had it plugged in, but there was something went wrong with the plug-in. And he was a puppy then. I went back to check on him,
Um,
and I had to go get food actually from the RV. I didn't bring it into the park. It was a short walk. So I was going back to make my dinner and to go check on him. And because we had like parked the RV was close to the theme park. Okay. Sorry, I'm making this confusing. And I went to go back to check on him, and the RV was like 100 degrees. Thank God he was fine. I got him out. I cooled him down with some water. Something happened that the electrical wasn't working the way it should. My husband came back. He got it fixed, but thank God. So, all
thank
right. So this is going to be an EMF nonsense thing that nobody wants to do, but for my peace of mind and my family's peace of mind, we now have something that on my husband's phone where he can actually check the temperature of the RV to know that the dog is safe and
yes.
that fine because we don't want him dying in an overheated RV. That would be
That would
horrific.
be
So
one time we would want to make an exception, of course, for life and death things. That is
100%. So now when we were in the theme
help.
parks, because we were in the theme parks an hour and a half away this time at Busch Gardens from where our ERV was. So
Oh,
I was like, you know what? This is good for me to have. I know that he's safe. We can check on him. We know that he's good to go and that he has good air. He's not overheating and dying in an RV. Like it's just this is what I'm saying. You need to have flexibility in your life. Like it's okay.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's good to know. Now I feel better.
you're worried about Teddy. You're so cute. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is such
Yeah.
a joy, and we wish you merry travels this summer.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're having some really fun adventures now or soon, and that you can utilize some of these tips, incorporate in some of these strategies to help boost your health so that you can have maximal joy and pleasure on your travels this summer.
Yes, beautifully stated. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.